there on a Saturday evening. A meteorologist, Aaron Tuttle, just a little after 9:30, and the newest weather data has been coming in. I've been looking at radar all day, so my brain just says radar, how to have it. But we're actually going to talk about the forecast for Monday here for this Facebook Live, so thanks for joining me. So by now, of course, you've known that we've had a chance for severe weather to return. Kind of an extended window, and we kind of escaped most of it so far, but Monday has been looking pretty potent, behind the scenes as far as the indices that we look at. So we're going to take a look at that in more detail here for you for tonight, see what the latest is and what you can expect and prepare for. Okay, so I know there's a lot of times you'll hear things that might seem a little scary to you, and so I just want to make sure that that's not going to be a problem and that you're going to be okay. Because once I kind of explain things, I think you'll get a better understanding of what it is that causes it, how things can go wrong, that cause maybe less of an impact, or then we'll see if there's something that causes more of an impact. But either way, education is always good. In this type of format, I have time to do that for you. So we'll do that. Okay, so first off, let's go ahead and get started with the overall risk. This is from the Storm Prediction Center. So they already have a moderate risk of severe weather here across the western half of Oklahoma on into the Texas Panhandle. And then again, this is for Monday. And if you were to scroll down and read some of the wording, but basically it says there's a lot of parameters in place, a lot of speed shear, directional shear, instability for a wide mix of severe weather hazards, basically large hail, damaging winds, and some tornadoes. So, and some of those tornadoes being significant. Significant means EF2 or stronger. So the word strong tornadoes, possibly a violent tornado. We get to EF4, EF5, those are what we call the violent tornadoes. They're very rare, though. They're less than about 5% of all tornadoes. So, the odds of getting those would be very, very low. But in this type of environment, you could say they would be a little higher than what you would normally see. But we'll take a look at that environment in detail and get you going there. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump into the first thing I want to show you. And this is going to be a couple of the potential outcomes that I can see happening. Because remember, we got 48 hours basically to work with here for new high resolution data to come in, and we'll analyze that and we'll be able to fine tune. This will be the first stab at fine tuning the location and the timing, with massaging to happen tomorrow morning with the new data, and then more massaging tomorrow night with the new data. So make sure you join me. I'll probably do a live. I'll be watching church Sunday morning. But after that, I'll probably do a live maybe around lunchtime, and then I'll do another one around 9:30. Something like that is kind of in the plans. Okay, so here's a look at how things, of course, evolving tonight. We've got some storms up in Kansas and the far northern Oklahoma. There's been some hail producers, and we got some, of course, rough stuff down across Texas and Arkansas here. That's all moving away, and things will be quiet here. Now, as we focus on Sunday, looks good, so we're going to skip right on into Monday. And this is where things kind of get a little dicey as far as the overall outcome of how things can evolve. Because you do know, even like today, once we have a strong mesoscale convective complex move through, what that does is stabilizes the air, cools things down, and really can't destabilize to cause severe weather. So will we see that type of scenario Monday morning? Those are one of those caveats that we have to look for. If that does happen, that limits our threat for tornadoes. But again, that's putting the cart before the horse. So let's take a look at what the trend has been so far in some of these higher resolution models. And right now, they do produce a breakout of showers and storms. This is for late Sunday night, well after midnight, into Monday morning, moving through the western and northwestern parts of the state through early Monday morning. Now, what that will sometimes do is cause a cold pool, basically of a high pressure, just where you have some cold air that kind of sits here like a bubble, almost like a mini cold front. And what that does is that traps all the instability south of it. So in other words, all the instability would be down here, and there wouldn't be any up here, because that's the exiting area of that. So that's where the substance is going to be. So we'll see if that materializes. Now, should that be the case, things are quiet across most of Oklahoma all day on Monday. So this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're just now getting storms of fire along the dry line out here in far western Texas Panhandle. And there's a couple that try to fire out east of the dry line, just through some elevation terrain likely. But you can see they kind of line up there along what is going to be the dry line out here in this particular fashion. Oh, let's see, this is now going into the 5 o'clock hour. So this little boundary right here is what's going to trigger all these guys. Now, these will all be supercell in nature according to this output here, over the Texas Panhandle through 7 o'clock. After 7, they then work their way into Oklahoma, into the 7 and 8 o'clock hour here in western Oklahoma. All these little red blobs you see on here, those are tracks. We call helicity tracks, meaning the storms are rotating, either producing some large hail or in some cases a tornado. Now we can actually look at those tracks themselves to try to delineate the difference between the two, and let's take a look at that. And what you'll notice here, there are quite a few strong ones. So here is 4 o'clock. This particular signal is for a long tracked tornado, basically is what this would be in the northeastern Texas panhandle. And you can see that moves into northwest Oklahoma and fizzles because it goes into that rain-cooled air. So again, that's stabilized up there into that area of the state. But look in the Texas panhandle, you get some more tracks that go up with more storms in there. So again, most of the tornado action with these supercells should be in the Texas panhandle for Monday late day, late afternoon, early evening. Then they'll cross over close to dark, move into western Oklahoma, and there's still some tracks there. Now they're not nearly as strong, but they're still there, meaning that they carry a tornado threat with them, at least for a few hours there after dark. And then we'll talk about the more details on that here in a minute, but I want to give you kind of the big picture of how things can evolve with that aspect. Now, what I'll do before I go into some of these other parameters, let's see, what I want to do that. Let's just do this real quick. So this is what they call the significant tornado parameters. Like if you take all the indices that would cause a tornado and you put them into a basket and then you plot that, this is what it's going to look like. So basically the brighter the color up into the legend here is to gray. It maxes out over 6. And that's here over basically all of the Texas, eastern Texas panhandle, even western Oklahoma and central Oklahoma. So in other words, conditions here are favorable, but we actually have to have a kicker. You actually have to have something to trigger the storms. Now, sometimes in what we call the warm sector, so the warm sector is kind of basically like a mini warm front that kind of sits in this fashion. And so this right here is the warm sector. Sometimes in an uncapped environment, in other words, no lid, no inversion, you can just get random areas that'll bubble up, break it, blow up into a thunderstorm with shear around, produce a supercell, produce a tornado. That can happen in the most unstable environments. They're very rare, but they can happen. I think May 3rd, by the way, may have been a similar situation to that, going off the memory banks. But so that's how you can get supercells outside of the dry line. Otherwise, you would normally need a surface trigger for that type of activity. Okay, so I want to show you that real quick just to show you that there is a large area of the state that has instability. Just questions can we tap into as far as storm generation. Okay, so here is a look at another higher resolution model. It's going to start you here at Monday morning. So Monday morning, it's already got a cluster of storms, once again moving through the western, let's say the northwestern third of the state. Showers and thunderstorms. Looks like most of these would be probably kind of like what they were today, right at or slightly below severe weather limits. Could squeeze out a rare tornado out of it, kind of like we did this morning. But otherwise, that's kind of where that cluster resides. Now, that kind of changes the atmosphere here for Oklahoma and keeps us mostly quiet, again, just like that other model did. And if you look out here to the west, this is 7 o'clock, by the way, so it takes even longer to get generation going out here in the Texas Panhandle dry line. But those storms would then fire up, and they would move through Texas Panhandle all the way up through about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock hour before they even cross over in Oklahoma. So, again, there's a couple of different solutions there, but they're very similar. The take-home would be late day out west. The other take-home is, so far, it's not producing any of those warm sector supercells here in central Oklahoma during the day. So those are two things I like to see as far as if you want to limit a tornado outbreak. The other factor is, remember, most of the time when we get storms that come out here late at night and they move east at well after dark, they're a lot less severe, plus the tornado threat typically lowers. Now, there's going to be there'll be something to offset that with some shear, but the cap should build in. So I'll just take a random sounding here. So this is going to be, let's see, 11 o'clock. Yeah, 11 o'clock at night here in the metro, just to see what the atmosphere looks like. So this particular case, we already have a cap building in right here. It's starting to strengthen, so that's expected. So that will kind of, so a lot of times that helps to offset tornado potential or even severe storm potential in an environment. Now, what we still have, though, to kind of fight against that is really decent wind shear, both speed and somewhat direction. Not enormous great direction, but enough to probably get a couple of tornadoes well after dark. So that'll be what we'll have to watch for here in central Oklahoma as that line or line segments approach from the west. So in other words, it kind of might be a long night here in central Oklahoma for that. And then we might get more waves after that moving through the state because the whole system has to clear out of here, and that won't happen until Tuesday. Let's see. So let's move this through time. That first wave in northwest Oklahoma fizzles not long. Once we get close to midnight, that atmosphere up there has been pretty worked over, so that makes sense. This new area down here to the west still hasn't. It's kind of untapped out ahead of it, but it's taking its sweet time because this is a midnight hour and it's still way out here in western Oklahoma. So we'll see on the timing of how things evolve. And the question on the timing, let me jump to that also. Let me talk about that and as to why that's an issue as well. Let's see. First off, let's see. This just came in. I'm watching the data as it comes in, by the way, so that's why we're talking on the fly. So let me see here. There's 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5, before they even move into the metro. That's how slow this system has it. The other thing you take home from this, look at all the intensity. See all those bright colors of red? You see how they disappear? Has the whole thing weakening. Why? Again, because it runs into that layer of air that's warm aloft, and it has a tendency to kind of shut down production. So that's a good thing for us. So if this system comes in late to the party, which looks like it's doing, in other words, it's not timed right, the main energy doesn't come through until Tuesday morning, and that means things come in at an off hour. Yeah, so here's a look at that cap still building. So this nudge of this temperature line continues to grow in this direction. That's the cap strengthening. So that, as expected, and then that kind of reduces all the other severe weather parameters. It's a good thing. So what you could take away just from tonight, just from this run, and put it on the table is not that bad of a tornado event for Oklahoma. Yes, there's probably going to be several out here in the Texas Panhandle, but as far as the body of Oklahoma, does not look that terrible according to what's looking at here for this particular model. Now the other one, like we said, it was a little more adventurous, we'll say. Let's pull that back up for you. Out here to the west after dark, between 7 and 9 o'clock, out here with more supercell action and more kind of rotation tracks. If you're asking me today, which one do you pick? Honestly, it's a toss-up because we're still 48 hours out, and I have pros and cons for each one. I could see each one being correct. And that's why you don't want to usually get too specific and start talking about Armageddon or whatever too far out in advance, because you have things like this you have to delineate, work through, and figure out. Even the Storm Prediction Center, the guys today were thinking, this is a big storm magnitude. The question is it going to be a flash flooding magnitude or a widespread tornado event magnitude? And that was what they were contemplating today. So in other words, it's not so clear cut in stone. Sure, the wind shear is great. I get that, but the storm system is way out west and it's ill-timed. We got a lot of other factors that may come in to mess up the whole event as a whole as far as trying to produce numerous tornadoes. So I want to let you know that is on the table, so it's not a done deal, it's not guaranteed. And there are some options as to how this thing is going to evolve, and unfortunately it's not going to be super clear tonight. Hopefully tomorrow morning will be a little clearer, and definitely by tomorrow night much clearer. And we'll see how things progress that way. So that's the other thing I want to talk about was the flooding rain potential. We'll take a look at this one here real quick. So because of the cluster of storms up here in the northwest, it's got central southwest Kansas up around 7 inches of rain or so, 4 inches up here in northwest Oklahoma. And actually this is one of the lighter rainfall amounts I've seen. Because it kills the storms coming in, it almost has nothing here in central Oklahoma. That is a far cry from every other model prior to this. And because of that, I'm going to look at its big brother here. That was a small time brother, high resolution. So this is a lower resolution, but it has a lot more parameters I can look at. Has the same kind of look to it though. Some morning rain here in the west northwest. Storms out in the Panhandle, Texas, moving through after dark, western Oklahoma, dying out, then taking their sweet time, moving through 5 o'clock in the morning or so in central Oklahoma toward daybreak for the metro. Tulsa, same kind of deal after drive time, but falling apart, a very weak, pathetic looking squall line, and then picking up steam again as it heads into Arkansas for Tuesday afternoon and onward from there. So we'll see what the rainfall total looks like with this. Same kind of idea, heavier rain out here in northwest Oklahoma where those storms train over the same area. A lot of flooding for Kansas. So if this were to be a new trend, it would be to take all this flooding rain that was in Oklahoma and shove it north into Kansas. That's the big take home from this particular model cluster here, which is interesting because that has not been the case up to this point. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this other model I showed you, because again, I'm showing you the two that I like the most during severe weather because they perform the best, and that's why I'm spending more time on those. This one here, same kind of idea. Flooding rain's now shifted into Kansas with a good trail, though, here out in northwest Oklahoma, stretching back where you get some training. The yellow and red is up around 3 to 4 inches here in this parts of the state. And up in Kansas, once again, you're in the purples, you're up 6 to 8 inches of rain. So that would be your flooding area. And I believe South Central Kansas had a ton of flooding. Was it a week ago? I lose track on what day was what, but they had a significant amount of flooding up there, and so this is not going to be good for them either. Okay, so those are two models, two very similar outcomes, and I can go with them. We can split the hair on the difference as far as timing goes by a few hours, and whether or not we'll have more supercells in western Oklahoma versus more of a line segment or squall line later, and a weaker one at that. And hopefully again tomorrow we'll have a better look at that. So if you're in Tulsa, you're going, what about me? If you're in southeast Oklahoma, what about me? Remind you, unless we have some type of situation, we have an uncapped environment where supercells just go in the warm sector, there is nothing to produce widespread storms for any of you at this point in time. We have to look way out west. Oh, that was the last thing I wanted to show you, was a storm system out west. So let's do that. Okay, so here's the storm system itself, right here, centered over, at this point, southern Colorado, northern New Mexico. And this is the energy coming out all ahead of it. And the timing on this is, let's see, what was the timing on this? So midnight on Monday night. So in other words, the system itself, as far as the best impact, we call PVA, which is positive vorticity advection, doesn't even kick in until midnight here across western Oklahoma. So that's 6 hours late to its own party. If it had come in 6 hours prior, things would be a lot different, and I'd probably be a little bit more concerned. But this kind of gives me at least a little bit of sigh of relief, just a little, because I can tell you, looking at the model data myself, I was looking at these plot soundings and going, man, that does look bad. But I'm not going to go out here and promise you a tornado outbreak 5 days away, because that's foolish. If you remember, we had a panel of severe weather. Matter of fact, let me show you that. Let's just load that up real quick. This will be an educational point for you, a take home. So if you ever go to my blog, go to AaronTuttleWeather.com, and I've got several blog stories on there you can read. And one the other day is I plotted, social media is already buzzing over tornadoes. What do you need to know? In here was the severe weather outlook at a glance from the Storm Prediction Center. Now, look what they did for Friday, look what they did for Saturday, and Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Well, of course, we all knew things would change. I've talked about that. But the take home here is that this was on Tuesday when this was plotted. So on Tuesday, they were 1, 2, 3, 4 days away, and they were already wanting to put a moderate risk of severe weather out here in the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, and also in western Oklahoma. Well, as you know, Friday night, we didn't get anything out here. It was nothing. So that's what I'm saying. You don't want to get too aggressive that far out in time, because too many things will change. On Saturday, well, that's this panel right here. We had that MCS come in. It messed everything up. And so after the morning situation, later outlooks actually went moderate for this area, and then they had to change it and move it down to Texas because the forecast for the MCS in the morning was going to mess things up. So they kind of have to go with the model data trends that come in. So the take home in is just to know that these outlooks, although they're good for general overall information, don't look too much into them when they're way down the road. So for example, yesterday, let's see, what is today? Saturday, so yesterday was Friday, so they were already calling for a tornado outbreak Friday for Monday. That's 3-4 days away. That's 4 days away, really. So that's a little pushing it. Will we see severe weather? Sure. No doubt about it. That's an easy call. I have no problem with that. Storm Prediction Center is calling for severe weather. The wording on that is, yeah, you're going to have some cases where storms will be able to produce all three modes, and all that is true, and yes, all that will happen. The devil's in the details, though, and those are not revealed until we get closer to it, kind of like what we're doing right now. So just kind of a little backstory on how you can take that information when you see it elsewhere and how to apply it. Because honestly, if I were to tell you a tornado outbreak is coming 5 days from now, what are you going to do differently in your life? How does that affect you on a positive side? Are you going to worry about it? Do you plan differently? So if I tell you it's going to be severe weather with a chance of hail, wind, and tornadoes, do you do that differently? And I tell you that's 5 days away. How does your life change? You still got to go to work. Kids still got to go to school. Not a whole lot is going to change when I tell you information 5 days down the road. So usually what you do is you come back to me and go, yeah. You tell me the day of or the day before, then I'll listen. Usually that's the reaction because it's a short-term event. You kind of already know your game plan of what you want to do and how you want to protect yourself and all that. So keep all that stuff in the back of your mind when we go through our spring storm season. Okay, so here's just another close-up view of that model I was showing you earlier about how things could evolve on Monday. Let me look at a couple parameters, and one being I think this one has the severe weather or tornado parameter. It does. All right, so what we're going to look at is the significant tornado parameter, and we'll see how that looks on Monday. So on Monday morning, we're actually, okay, so today, we've got the big system that moved through. Sunny's gorgeous. So all the instability has been shoved down south into Texas. So we have to get that back up here. So this model is going to indicate that for you. So on Monday morning, we don't have that back up here yet, which is why the storms or showers that move through will be on the marginally severe side. Now, as we head into Monday lunchtime, you see the tornado parameter index start to go up here over central and southern Oklahoma. And then as we head into the afternoon hours, that's where we have more heating. The shear gets a little stronger, and so the index gets a little stronger. And it's also shifting more north. Now, it's not too far north, because remember, right here is that cold pool. So it can't, you can't get instability in there until all this mixes out. Sun comes back out, clouds clear, atmosphere redestabilizes, all that. And that takes time. Like today, we didn't have enough time for it to happen over the body of the state. Northwest Oklahoma, they were closer to the storm system, so they were able to do it, but the rest of us weren't. So anyway, so this is, again, look at 6 o'clock p.m. Monday. And you can see out in the Texas Panhandle, out there as well. Matter of fact, it's stronger in that region and into western Oklahoma during the early evening hours. Now, as we head on into, let's see, we're at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, look what happens. That values decrease, the scale drops. So the tornado threat lowers every hour. By the time we are at the morning hours, it's almost gone here over central and even most of eastern Oklahoma, just some residual up there in the northeast. So that's a good trend, that's a good sign. I like seeing that, by the way, as far as a potential outbreak is concerned. So I wanted to show you that. Let's see, anything else? I showed you the storm system coming in late. I showed you how the tornado potential will lower after dark, and if we don't get those storms in here until after dark, then our event becomes less and less in magnitude. Let's see, what else? Oh, it showed you the flooding potential. Let's see, I can actually do that here on this map as well, because we kind of looked at a bigger version, so I can give you a more of a close-up version if it's in. Is it in? No, it's not in. All right. Okay, so we won't show you that one. What about dew point value? Let's do that. Okay, one of the key ingredients you need for tornadoes, by the way, is dew points really in the low 70s. That's the sweet spot for tornadoes. So here on Monday morning, we got dew points in the low 60s, upper 50s even. We get that warm air, the warm front surges northward, and it butts up against that cold pole to the north. So there's a fighting boundary up in northern Oklahoma. There's lunchtime Monday. And then there's low 70 dews now on Monday evening, afternoon and evening. So that's why the tornado parameter goes up as well, because those low 70 dew points come in. And you can see how the boundary kind of gets fought up here to the north. Now, what you can also keep in mind is sometimes in these situations, you can get supercell storms that will develop and or ride along a warm front boundary, as long as they run, parallel to the feature. Because if they run too perpendicular, they'll cross over it back on the cold side and they die out. But if they can ride that boundary and run just around the track, that can be a favored area for tornado production. So in northern Oklahoma, you would be under that guise as far as what to look for. So one of the key areas would be the warm front to the west or to the north, and also to the dry line out here to the west in the Panhandle area. And then typically there's a low pressure, somewhere in this area for a triple point. So that puts this whole region, favored region for tornado production, kind of something like this. We'll extend it back probably just through the metro and then back down here into southwest Oklahoma. So if I had to draw a map for you today, based off the latest data, where the most likely area for tornadoes would be, it would be within that blue outline. And that would be for Monday afternoon and evening, depending on where you are in the state. Afternoon would be out here, evening would be here, and afternoon, it could be late afternoon up here along the warm front. But here in the metro, I would expect things to stay storm-free, like I said, unless somehow the cap breaks and we just have these little warm sector supercells kind of blow up out of basically what we call a theta E axis. I can show you that too. Let's see. Theta E axis comes into play. It's an interesting parameter, not often paid a lot of attention to, but what it does is it's a measure of warmth, of warm temperatures plus the moisture content riding on a wind field, a trajectory. And it kind of streamlines all this into one area. So if I show you this on Monday morning, let's see right here, all the pink area is all the juicy stuff. This is what the atmosphere needs to work with, and it's going to come back to the north. So as we head into Monday, there's lunchtime Monday. So what this does is the trajectory is going just like this. Okay, that puts it right over central Oklahoma, right over the metro. We'll go into, let's see, 4 or 5 o'clock, and there's 7 o'clock. So what you can see is kind of two things. That trajectory stays put over central Oklahoma with another a new one kind of coming into southwest Oklahoma. So sometimes if it's not capped, you can get little supercells that develop in that trajectory path. And that's what would be the trigger, because otherwise you would need the dry line to trigger it. And as we talked about, the dry line is way out here in western Oklahoma, or excuse me, western Texas Panhandle. The other option would be the warm front up here to the north. So, but otherwise, that's the only other way you can really kind of get something to go typically in this environment. Let me see here. I think I showed you everything. I can do some point soundings, kind of like just for my own benefit, but you guys, you'll take a look at them, and that way you can see what I'm seeing. So we'll do up here near the warm front, so in northern Oklahoma. So I'll put it just south of the warm front, and we'll see what the atmosphere looks like up here. LCLs are down low, below 1 kilometer. So you need low LCLs, which is basically the base of the cloud, for tornado production. We also have a very good, strong slinky, what they call a storm slinky, which is representative of the hodograph. Hodograph is this guy up here to the top right, which is basically a nice curve like this. It's not super clean. What we in the world of weather, you're probably going to hear this because storm chasers go nuts over this stuff and they just start releasing it. But it's called a sickle hodograph, like a sickle, like the omen of death or whatever. So it's a sickle shape that comes out on the worst type of events. And so typically if you see a sickle shaped hodograph, you're like, whoa. Basically what that means is that the shear is just lined up just right for producing tornado supercells. So in this particular case, it's not quite to that, but it's close. It does have a potential hazard type, though, of a PDS tornado, which means particularly dangerous situation. Why it's doing that is because the effective, when I showed you the significant tornado parameters off the chart that's up here, the scale is 0 to 11, and it goes to 11. It can't go any higher. So in other words, all these little numbers behind my head here, these are all indices that goes into this that says, wow, there's a lot of things out there that doesn't look too pretty. So What else? We got a Cape value close to 4,000. Not much of a cap at all, and good strong lifting indices. So there you go. It's got some cross references of supercells, some significant supercells in history. When you take a look at this and you apply it to other conditions in other parts of the country where similar things have occurred, and the hail size is anywhere from 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter. So I haven't seen any overly large hail size predictions. Most of them have been about 2.5 inches or less. But the wind shear has been pretty consistent as far as being strong and being directional. So in other words, kind of a southeast direction here at the surface, then it kind of goes south, and then it goes southwest. So it's turning with height is what that is. Okay, so this is what we looked at here in northern Oklahoma. So again, that's a favorite area for supercells and supercell producing tornado type deals. Here in central Oklahoma, and this is looking at I'm on the NAM, I'm on the bigger brother rather than the smaller brother. We can look at the smaller brother, but it's a very similar outcome. Really not much different there in northern Oklahoma. So it has more of that sickle shape appearance here in the wind field. All right, let's go out to the western Texas Panhandle or so. We'll just go out here to the border state line, and we'll see what the atmosphere looks like out there. Same type of deal. It's just going to put a PDS tornado everywhere with maxing out the effective layers. Same type of shear. The winds looks like a little weaker here by about 5 knots, 10 knots. Not significant. And there you go. Okay, and then as we said, things kind of go different by the time we hit the midnight hour. And so by the time this line comes in, assuming it comes in much later, then we'll see what the sounding looks like. So on the sounding here, like I said, we have the cap built in, and because of that, it helps to limit the severe weather threat, reduces all the indices, and the wind shear itself is more linear. It still has some turning, just enough to probably get a couple of tornadoes out of it, but certainly not a widespread event. And this is again after midnight here over central Oklahoma. Okay, so let's close these, and let's go to the smaller brother. All right, and we'll plot some soundings here for central Oklahoma. So again, I mean, I gave you guys all the forecasts from much right earlier on. This is just an educational piece so that you know what everybody's looking at. In that way, when you see these posts that says tornado outbreak, I want you to see what they're looking at so that you understand why they're saying that. Do I advise them to word it the way they've been wording it? No, because of the things I showed you in the last 20 minutes of what can go wrong and how things probably are going to evolve. But at least you're going to understand why the hoopla. All right, so I picked central Oklahoma. It's 7 o'clock. No, I did 9 o'clock. Yeah, I did 9 o'clock for some reason. Okay. Not much difference, though. It's still got significant wind shear profile, low LCLs, says tornado, sickle shape photograph, cape around 4,000, pegged on the STP, the storm significant tornado parameter. So no real difference from the big brother to the little brother on this particular model run. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll just have to see how this event evolves. The other thing I can suggest is if over time here the morning rain for whatever reason doesn't happen, and this doesn't develop, it doesn't move into western Oklahoma or northern Oklahoma, then there's no cold pool. And what that allows us to do is get warmer, more unstable, especially in this area, and out here into this area. Now, if that were to happen, that allows the magnitude of any storm that develops late afternoon that moves into this area to pack way more of a punch than it would if this situation didn't occur, which likely would mean more tornadoes. So that's why there's a lot of things that can go wrong. That's just one of them. That's a big one. That's why it's worth paying attention to. And earlier models actually had a cluster of storms move east through central Oklahoma and knocking us down. Actually, I've got a model, I believe, that suggested that. Let's go find that. And let me see what it does. Okay. because of what it does, these are dew point values in the upper 60s to around 70 on Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Because it has the rain that continues to move in, never really ends, it causes kind of a cold pool across this whole area with sinking and subsidence, and it dries it out as that stuff diminishes, and it's got us in the mid 60s. So actually our dew points went downward, and that reduces the tornado threat. Here's a look at how that looks on precipitation. Come on, are you in there? Are you with me? You're not with me. All right then, we'll go elsewhere. Let's try this one. Okay. So Monday morning northwest. This is 3-hour increments. There's midday Monday. You can see the rain and the storms here in central and northwest Oklahoma. Here's Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So you can see that big heavy MCS just doesn't die. It just keeps going. There's Monday evening, 7 o'clock in central Oklahoma. It's just a big MCS that sits on top of us and rains and rains and rains. And then we get some more storms out west, but we're pretty worked over by then. And those are really slow, and they fall apart once they get into central Oklahoma because they run in all that subsidence. So this is a completely, vastly different outcome with a lot less magnitude on the tornado side, but a lot higher on the flooding side. And I'll show you that. So there are a couple of different offers on the tables what could happen. Now here's a look at the total precipitation. It's got 2 to 3 inches here in Oklahoma City. You know, that will cause probably a little bit of flash flooding. Not as bad as it could be if we were seeing this brown area, which is up around 6 inches of rain. It still has some heavy rain in Kansas, but not like what those other models were doing. It kind of keeps that heavier round focused out to the west central parts of the state. So there's yet another solution that easily it's on the table, and I can go with this one as well, just like I can go with the other two. Being 2 days out, there's plenty of time to fine-tune this, but I want to show you what can go wrong to completely mess up what would supposedly be a tornado outbreak for Oklahoma. So there you go. Okay, I have gone on way too long, but it is almost 10 after 10, so I've been on about 30 minutes or so, and it's time to wrap this up. So that's all I had to show you or tell you. I would love to give you more, but there isn't anything more to give you. That's all I've got. I can't. I can only take it so far. As far as what the data tells me, and then what the science tells me. So let me look at some of your comments here. So hang on a second. Mute this. There we go. So just a reminder, broadcasting live on my Patreon account, my patron accounts on my closed group Facebook page. So you can get access to that by becoming a member. How do you become a member? Well, a few things. You can join patreon.com with my account there, or Subscribestar, or the new thing I launched today was Facebook fan subscriptions, and that's right here on this video. You can take a look at the description box, and I'll put a link on here. Matter of fact, let me just do that real quick. Hang on a second, I'll just do it and I'll post it. And I think I can do a pin. I think I can pin a post. We'll see. There, I just posted it. Let me, pin comment. Oh, did I catch it? There, pinned it. Alright, so I pinned the comment on the main page. So if you want to look for the link without reading the whole description, it's just right there in the comment section. The pinned comment should be at the top, and you should always be able to see it. So that's how you can sign up to be on the Facebook fan subscriptions. It's brand new. They just contacted me probably about a month ago and asked if I wanted to do it. And I kind of blew them off at first just because I'm so busy. This time of the year is just not a good time of the year to ask me to do stuff. And so anyways, but after thinking about it, and it was so successful on the Patreon side, I said, all right, let's do it. Give you guys another way to support me, because not everybody wants to use Patreon or Subscribestar or PayPal or these other ways I got. So I want to make it as easy as possible for you, so that you can support me like you'd like to. And what I'm going to do with that is take AT's weather to a whole new level. So watch the video associated with this. It tells you a lot more. It tells you the bonus content, talks about that, and the exclusive features you'll be able to get by doing so, and love to have you on there. I can interact with you more one-on-one by doing this, so that's going to be very beneficial for you, and certainly for me in being able to help others and expand the whole operation and give back more, because I love serving and I love giving back. Unfortunately, it all comes at a cost. So if we can share in that cost, it'll make things way easier. I used to just share out of my retirement account for a long time. I was like, this isn't viable. I got to change this up. So I finally got all that stuff squared away. But so we're good now. But if you liked tonight's discussion on the weather and it was helpful for you, and it's something that you enjoy and you appreciate, which means you appreciate me and my time, then please sign up and be a top fan supporter. I think they give you a nice badge and everything. You get to gloat and brag with it, and when I interact with you, I'll actually see it, and so I can point you out and go with that. Okay, so let's go look at some of your comments, and then we'll turn you loose. Let's go to my patrons first. So the patrons are on my closed group Facebook page. Again, you get access to it when you become a subscriber. All right, so ladies and gentlemen are in the house. It's funny, you always comment about the music of the broadcast, and I thought I picked some good one. You know, the one I had before you guys didn't like too well, so at least this one's a little bit better. Some of the comments are hysterical. I like that. Jariah. Let's see. Casey just wants to be a top fan. Oh, I hear you. Goals, right? Hashtag goals. Let's see. Mandy says she already feels better. Good. I'm glad I could bring you back down. Now, I might bring you back up tomorrow, but I'm going to bring you back down tonight because I can only tell you what's the truth. I'm not going to wish cast or hype cast or make it up cast or, that stuff. I just go with the data. Phil, you're welcome for all the science. Mary says we have a zoo trip on Monday. Well, you might be just fine, Mary. Don't cancel. Don't worry about it yet. We got tomorrow. Check in with you tomorrow. I'll do a Facebook Live, like I said, probably around lunchtime and again in the evening hours, about the same time, 9:30. Ina's already getting technical. What do you think the percentage is for a warm sector tornado to hit Oklahoma City on Monday afternoon? Boy, you're going right into it. Not even worth discussing right now because it's not in the cards. There's no data that suggests that'll happen yet. Matter of fact, actually, there are some new CAM models that could indicate one way or the other that just came in. So I had forgotten about those. Let me go load that up. And let me load up something else. I'm glad you did that because it made me remember that I can look at two other things. Alright, so hang in there with me for a second. What is today? Good, this is the right day. Okay. So we'll answer this and I'll get back on to some of your questions on the main page. Okay. Alright, so let's see, what does it do here? Alright, it's got the heavy showers and storms rolling through early again on Monday morning and into the afternoon. Brings in some over southwest Oklahoma, keeps that stuff going in northern Oklahoma. So very similar, but a little different than what we were looking at. It's got the morning convection coming in the northwest, but it keeps the southwest stuff going, and it does have some what would be rotation tracks with that, it looks like. Let me do a run max on that. Yeah. Get that off of there. So it does have a few tracks in it. There's one. There's some weak ones there. So it does have a little rotation there for Monday afternoon. This is, of course, 5 o'clock, like I said. So we'll see what happens with this. This is just one run with this particular model. I'll look at this one. This is typically the fantasy one, which I throw away. But I'll look at it anyway just so I can get a big picture. Okay. Actually, honestly, quite similar to the other one. And still nothing in the metro. All right, let's go to this other operational version. It's got the stuff in northwest Oklahoma. It actually shows you this nice little cold pulse, like a mini cold front on this one panel right here. You can see how it kind of bows out like this. So that's the cold air rain-cooled air coming southward. And then you get the what we call a meso high that builds in behind it. That stabilizes everything. Now, sometimes you won't get stable if there's too much lift in the atmosphere. In other words, the upper level storm system is just too strong. It overrides it and just keeps on raining and raining. That's how you get the flooding. So that's why, depends on how things go. It could just end up being a big flooding event. But regardless, in the Monday afternoon, it's still got everything in the northwestern part of the state, nothing central. And just now getting some stuff in the southern Texas Panhandle, which is going to be a while before it makes its way in Oklahoma. So probably closer to dark, 6, 7 o'clock, something like that, before it starts to cross over. And this stuff up here just kind of keeps on going, which means the flooding threat up there may remain. Let's see, total accumulated rainfall. Yeah, so it kind of shifts all the heavy rain because of that. It never really ends in this region, 2 to 4 inches of rainfall just through Monday afternoon. So, like I said, somebody's going to get a lot of flooding, flash flooding with this. Just depends on how things line up. All right, let's see. So those were those 3. And then the last thing I wanted to see was this guy here. And it's always so late to come in. It never makes it. I have to go 48 hours, so it's not going to make it in time. So I won't be able to show it to you. But anyway, all right, so that was the end of that. Let's go back to your questions here on the main page. Okay. Wendy. Alrighty. Just read Wendy's comment. Maybe I shouldn't have read Wendy's comment. Let's see. Guess I'll have to get out early and mow here in Edmond Steam. Yeah, on Monday. I don't know if you're going to mow anyway, man. It's a lot of mud out there already. Let's see. Lene says, Aaron, you may be able to address this. If you are away from home when severe weather strikes, hospitals are not designated weather shelters. Most will post this on the doors of their ERs. Please do not seek shelter at hospitals. They be prepared for mass casualty events and or injuries if they occur rather than sheltering the general public. Correct. In most cities, and you don't have, at least big cities like Oklahoma City, from what I recall, there are no publicly designated shelters. So you need to make sure you have a game plan and you know what to do. Speaking of which, it's always the center part of whatever structure you're in, and it's always the lowest floor. Just keep it that simple, that easy. Anything you can do above and beyond that is better, obviously. If you got a closet, bathroom, staircase, interior room, office, use those. Storm shelter, obviously, use those. If you're on the second floor, get to know your neighbor downstairs. That kind of deal. All right, I'm on the old block old troll Wendy. Ain't got time for that. All right, sorry, girl, you just got banned, or dude. There's no telling who you really were, but whatever. So you're gone. Insta block. Okay. Let's see. As supporter, I'll get a badge. Sharon. Actually, you've got one, Sharon. I see it right there. It says supporter. It's right there on your name. Look at you. Look at you go, girl. You're already on top of it. Let's see. Lauren. Right now it appears so, as far as the metro is concerned. So check back with me tomorrow and we'll see how things go. So it looks like old Winnie was blowing you guys up. Sorry about that. Well, I already blocked her, so she's gone. She can't come back. At least not as Wendy. She can come back as some other clown, but it won't be Wendy. But because of Wendy, all your comments are gone, so I can't read any questions that may have been up there prior to her. Let's see here. Matthew, I'll seriously become a supporter if you block her. Done. Sign up now. The link is in this live broadcast, right above your head. Go for it. Let's see. Cherish, I can't. I can only scroll up so far, which is why I tell you guys to hold your questions until after I'm done, because I won't be able to see them. Facebook truncates it. I think I can scroll through about like 30, and after that they're gone. Let's see. Your guys are welcome. A lot of you apparently really upset with old Wendy. The best, obviously, you don't feed the trolls. You just ignore them. I had a troll email me earlier today. and he was all upset and started jumping down my throat. And he was mad because I was telling off some trolls. And I said, well, how about that? A troll mad because I told off other trolls. I said, okay. He didn't like that response. I was like, whatever. I really don't care, dude. Anyway. Christy, yes, if I get concerned, yes, you should be concerned. Remember, I have to go through 25 years of forecasting experience where in the past, I would look at situations like this and be overly concerned, be somewhat emotional, be really worried, and then nothing would happen over and over, or it would be very low in the magnitude compared to what it could have been or should have been. And I've noticed in time, a lot of those times, the highly advertised setups bomb, whereas the ones people don't pay a whole lot of attention to go gangbusters. So this could easily be another one of those situations. So I've learned over time to kind of taper everything myself and not get too worked up over it and just kind of analyze it and go, okay, well, we'll see. But that's experience and wisdom and old age and crankiness coming in. Let's see, Matthew, why are the local news stations NWS very concerned about Monday and not like we're going to have strong tornadoes? Well, because of the soundings that I showed you. That's the reason. Chris, I don't even refer. Here's the deal, and it's weird is because in the weather business, everybody wants to compare an event to another event in some other time. No two events are the same, ever. They're never the same, so why bother comparing? Let it stand on its own merits. If it's an event, it's an event. But that's the way I look at it, and I might be a little weird that way. To each their own. So, no, I don't compare events to other events. I don't compare them to prior years or whatever. Because let me tell you something about this scientifically. I just showed you some stuff on the soundings where it goes back to look at analogs, which is other years and prior events, just to try to correlate stuff, and it doesn't work out all the time. I show you in real time a map, and we will look at radar in the atmosphere, and I'll show you whether or not we reach certain thresholds for severe weather on a climatology study of tornadoes. Guess what? That doesn't work out so well either. And that's comparing history and events to events, similarities. And then sometimes we have these analogs that we use, which is basically comparing similar setups, storm system positions, upper levels, with the outcome. And then we take that, and all the ones kind of like it, and then we compare them all. So when a situation like this comes up, we take this, we compare it to those other dozen or so cases, and we go, oh, look at that. What the analog is for that. Oh, it's going to be a big event of severe weather. And sometimes that doesn't work out. So even in the data, trying to compare events going back in time never gives you the same outcome. Which, by the way, I can show you what that looks like. So I got a lot of cool tools I can use to show you this type of stuff. Let me see here. Give me a second. Okay. Where am I? That's on 17th. Okay. Let me show you something. Keyword here, experimental, analog, severe weather probability guidance. See that? See this right here? This is what today looked like for tornadoes. How many tornadoes happened in here? Well, in the afternoon and evening, 0. In the morning, we had one here, and then one, I think, in Pawnee County. And then we had a couple of warnings out here for Tulsa. But I don't think anything actually officially touched down east of town. We had one that touched down in Tulsa for like 5 seconds. 148th in Yale, didn't do any damage, and that was it. So this right here, big bullseye of craziness, did not work out. And this is comparing analogs to old events. Let's see what it does for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. All right, so Monday, it's shifting everything out here in the Panhandle area for the higher probability of tornadoes. I'm on the tornado parameter, by the way. So it's much less in magnitude for Monday, and it's farther west. And it didn't work today. It was nowhere close to being accurate. Will it be even accurate on Monday? I don't know. We'll see. But that's an example. It's a tool. It's cool to use and see, but how much value does it have? I'm not sure yet. I use it because we have it, and it's good to play with, to learn from. But let's see here. What time is that? 18th. Okay, so this is this for Monday night. Yeah, on the 20th. Okay, so this is Monday. This is a forecast of severe weather reports. So it's got several indicated here across the Oklahoma and Texas and Kansas. All right, well, that makes sense. We just looked at the data that says so. If we look at 5 or more reports of severe weather, the probability of percentages starts to decrease about in half, but it's still there in central Oklahoma. So in other words, the analogs are saying, all right, yeah, we'll have some reports, but we're not going to have a ton of reports. But it does have a ton of rainfall overall, 2+ inches. And let's see, what category is this? I can't even read this, man. Who writes this stuff? It's so small. If I can't read it, how are you going to be able to read it? Okay, I don't even know what it is. I can't even read it. Get my glasses on. Anyway, point is, it's got a little bit of a signal for severe weather, and this is looking at analogs for Monday. Here's Tuesday, so it's probably the morning stuff that would come through in the squall line fashion. But as we looked at some of the short-term models, it actually had that line weakening as it came into central Oklahoma. So that's probably might not pan out either, based off of the latest data. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that. Let me see if the other model with the ensemble is finished. It's probably not, but it's worth a look. Where was it? This guy. Nope, not yet. What time does that go to, though? Midnight, Sunday night. Oh, I can see if it's producing some rain, though. Let's go take a look. Ooh, nothing out there yet. And let me do this. Yeah, it doesn't have any rain yet at midnight Sunday night, so it better show up pretty quick if we're going to get that batch of rain that moves like this. So I can hang back for a minute and see if that comes in. What else I got to do? 10:30 on a Saturday night. I'm sober. Whether or not you are, I don't know. But I am. I'm working. Okay. Let me see here. Sherry. Of course I'm getting old. I'm cranky. You kids, get off my lawn. So, I'm scrolling through you guys' comments, catching up what I missed while I was doing all that. And I basically pick anything that jumps out of me that I should address. So, give me a second. This is your concern face. I'll have a more concerned face probably on Sunday. Because it'll be, the day before I can get into some real data. Chris, we talked about Tulsa and the state, and if you're late, I'm going to stop this and we can do you can watch the replay here. But short version is yes. Stephanie wants for me to give you a concern level, 1 through 10. So she'll sleep through a 10. If you sleep through a 10, then why are you asking me for a 1 through 10? What does it matter? What if I give you an 11? I'll give you a concern rating tomorrow. Let's see. Awesome. Who just joined? Sharon did. Look at you with your little badge supporter up there, +1. I don't know what +1 means, but you tell me if you figure it out. This is all new to me too. But thank you though. So Michael said we had several teeny tiny leading edge spin-ups out here around Spyro. Yeah, there were a few of them out there today. Okay, so Julia has a pet peeve and a bone to pick with me, which is fine. She says, when saying a tornado is in the rural area and it's not that big of a deal, please note many people still live in those rural areas. I'm one of them. Right. So, no, what I do when I turn the radar off is to show where it is in relation to populated centers. Because if you're going to have a tornado, trust me, you, even though you're in a rural area, I and everyone else does not want them in populated areas, because it's easier for one person to seek shelter from a tornado, know it's coming, and then versus 1,000 people, some of them may not even know, some of them aren't paying attention, some of them have no shelter, and then you got problems. So, yeah, I'm always more relieved when it's over a rural area. Sure, I'm still concerned about the ones in the path, but especially the ones in and there's nothing I can do about this, but the ones that still live in the mobile homes, you got to leave those things and go to another place during storms like that. Boy, Julia is really upset about the cattle and livestock too. No, I get it. What about wheat? Don't leave out wheat. Don't leave out cotton. So, no, there's a lot of stuff that gets messed up when a tornado goes through. So the point isn't to minimize anything. The point is to maximize the area that it's going into for everyone's knowledge. Plus, when I do that, let's say I have a tornado debris signature on radar. And I'm going, ooh, that's not good, because typically it means a tornado hit something. Well, if I don't look underneath the radar, I have to guess what that is. And typically I would guess homes or businesses or whatever is rain related. Well, if I take the radar off and look at the map underneath and I just see a field of trees, then all of a sudden I'm going, whoo, close call, it's debris from trees. I can live with that. So that information helps me, and then I can tell you, and then that helps you. Because what if I just told you, oh, this trail's doing damage, and you're freaking out because it's doing damage, and then I come back and I tell you, but it's just doing trees. You're going to be like, okay, good. See what I'm saying? So it helps me to get that information, and then helps to tell you. People, I'm sure other stations and other entities won't do that or can't do that. They don't have the ability to do that on television typically, so you're not going to get that information. So it's kind of just an extra thing I provide to help reduce anxiety. Now, if I take it off and it's going into a populated area and I'm looking at the towns, well then obviously even my own anxiety will build up, because that's not a good thing. But it's just information. So Matthew's talking about the tornado index on Channel 5. So you guys have already known my stance on that. It's garbage. Don't put any stock into it. Serves no purpose, has no statistical values, not related to anything. It is not tied into the Storm Prediction Center, no matter what they say. There were some other Mets on Twitter that ripped into them for it, because they said there's no statistical correlation, and I agreed with them. So, in other words, let's put it this way: the last time it was used, they had put a 10 for a huge chunk of Oklahoma. A 10 out of 10. That's it. You can't go any higher. And that was over a SPC, Storm Prediction Center, hatch for tornado probability of 15%. So if a 10 equates to 15%, what are they going to put on the map when SPC issues a 45% shading? You're going to keep it at 10? Well, then how is your ranking? What does that even tell you? What does that even mean? Why don't you just call everything a 10 if that's the case? So that's what I'm saying is junk. Just ignore that stuff. The Torcon, ignore that. There's no science in any of that stuff. Just letting you know. It's a gimmick. Let's see here. There's a lot of drinking games for TV guys. I think everybody's pretty much had one at one point. Okay. Oh, Amber. She's on top of it. Says +1 means supporter plus top fan. Boy, you guys are double dipping. That's awesome. I just learned something. You just taught me some Facebook info. I thought you were wrapping up, so I left, and you're still on here. Ron. I know I tried to sign off, I think, twice already. You know me. I have this problem. It's a good problem to have, but I have a problem. Let's see. I'm just helping you guys out, you know. Come on. If you guys didn't ask me anything and you didn't say anything, well, then I'd just be really upset and I'd sign off. I'm like, no one wants to talk to me. So, let's see, what else? I'm going to go back to my patrons and see if you guys have any questions, and then I am seriously going to wrap it up. Okay. All right. So that's what I'll do here real quick. No, Jesse, I didn't say anything about Sunday. I just have Sunday as being quiet. What's a green screen? Yeah, there's a green screen behind me. It's how I make magic happen. Let's see. I'll become a supporter right after this video. Already a patron. Mary's on top of it. Mary's double dipping. Sweet. Thanks, Mary. Let's see. Dow goes to 11. It's one more than 10. Okay. Been enjoying a few adult beverages tonight. I'm jealous. Man, I got like 6 hours of sleep last night because I had to get up early. Keep an eye on those storms. Actually, as I was waking up, we had that brief tornado warning. I was like, dadgummit. But it only lasted for a few seconds, so it wouldn't even matter. By the time I got everything going on the live feed, you know, it takes like a couple of minutes and that thing was already gone. Good. It's a good thing, though. But it did damage to a couple of homes. Let's see. What else? You don't mention the Tulsa area often. Aw, Amber, let me throw you a bone. Hey, Tulsa. There, I just mentioned you. So, I mean, you guys, you have to understand in Tulsa, you're really lucky because most of the time when the storms come to you, they're nowhere near as severe as they were out in western Oklahoma. It's like they gradually lose their severity as they get closer in. So, you get a few less tornadoes as a result. So, Christy, people are irritating. They don't listen. I don't know what that's about, but I have to just step away sometimes on these comments. This is my biggest pet peeve. What kills me most. You know, I'm nice about it, but internally, I'm just like, what in the world? Like, I'll do a blog, and in the blog, I will tell exactly what the question that they ask is. So, in other words, they couldn't take 5 seconds to read the blog, but they want me to come back and spend 5 minutes to type up a personal answer for them when they could have just read the blog like anybody else. So that's a big pet peeve of mine. I just shake my head and just go, it's in the blog. Just go read it. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll go do that. I'm like, yes, thanks. So that's why I wrote the whole thing. It takes a long time to write a blog, believe it or not. It's not quick process. It's much easier to do a video. So I understand the whole concept of doing Facebook Lives. So much easier. Listen, all 260 of you still watching the main page. I'm about to end this. You hit that pinned comment that I wrote on there right now. It says become a supporter. Do it. Don't make me hurt you. Don't be late to the party either. So you can join the fracas over here on our closed group secret page too. Okay, let me see what other model was in, then I'm going to turn you loose. Promise you this time. For real. It won't be in. Oh, just goes to the morning. Okay, what's this? Okay, so this is the 1 hour precipitation. It's just now trying to get stuff going out here, way out here, at daybreak. 6 o'clock in the morning. on Monday morning. Other models already had all this stuff already going out here and moving through. So it's farther west and a little bit later on the time. It's interesting. What was it doing with the tornado parameter? Non-existent. Good. Good. It's got basically very little instability at all, even for the morning. Okay, speaking of which, let's do that. Yeah, this is all the CAPE. CAPE is just the raw measure of instability. And it's still all the way down here into Texas, has yet to come north. And the reason why it's so slow to come north is because that storm system is too far out west. And let me see if I can show that to you. CONUS. Yeah, so here's a look at the storm system out here Monday morning. And until this guy gets to about, let's call it here. When it gets to here, that's when this area here really opens up for severe weather. But that's got a long ways to go and a short time to get there, which means it ain't gonna make it. It's no Smokey and the Bandit. It will not make it. So that's why it's generating those storms late for the morning. So we'll see. Like I said, Monday's got so many flies in the ointment. It is not a done deal, nor is it crystal clear, nor is it textbook, nor is it a lot of things. So anything you see online, just grain of salt, my friends, and we'll deal with it as it comes. All right, for real, I am seriously signing off. But hey, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you following, liking, sharing. Make sure if you did sign up to be a fan subscription supporter here, to share that with your friends and family so they can jump on board. It's like I've got multiple areas you can support me in. Patreon was the first one, and then I did Subscribestar because there were a few people that didn't want to do Patreon. I was like, okay, well, I'll do Subscribestar. And then, I had some that said, well, that's kind of complicated. I said, okay. No, I kept Facebook. Whatever's easiest for you is fine with me. I haven't got PayPal. You can get on my website. There's a donate tab, and you can find all the options on there. I even got Venmo. So if you like Venmo, just use Venmo. Go to Venmo. Whatever you want to do. But I'll talk again with you guys tomorrow, probably a couple times. And we'll go from there. And don't worry about Monday. Rest easy. I got you. We'll talk soon. Good night.